We all know that Vegeta has been a loose cannon throughout Dragon Ball history, and when you analyze the history of Vegeta's actions, there is one thing he could have done that would have changed Dragon Ball forever, and this is the decision to flat out leave Earth without ever returning again. But when was Vegeta most likely to have left, and how would this affect Dragon Ball history? Well, all of our answers will be in this video today. Now the first question we must answer is, what timeline does this video take place in? And it would have to be the present timeline. The reason being is that if you want a what if scenario that features Cell, the androids, and the potential for an alive Goku, this timeline simply maximizes the amount of events that can happen in our what if scenario. However, in order for us to maintain consistency in different timelines, Vegeta must impregnate Bulma first so that Trunks could exist in multiple timelines. But Vegeta would leave before the androids actually arrive. But why would Vegeta have left Earth in the first place, and what would have caused them not to return? One reason is because he wanted to attain the Super Saiyan form, and Vegeta would have died in outer space by an astronomical collision like the anime implies. And to refresh your memory, don't forget that Vegeta was brought back to life by the Earth Dragon Balls, so at this point in Dragon Ball history, they couldn't use the Earth Dragon Balls again to bring Vegeta back, and as a result of what he did on Namek, the Namekians did not allow the Earthlings to use the Dragon Balls to wish him back to life. But what about the actual impact that this would have on Dragon Ball history? To begin, when Goku's heart virus occurs, Vegeta wouldn't be around to defeat 19 and put pressure on Android 20. This now means that Piccolo would have to intervene just as he was originally going to when Goku was in trouble. Also, Gero stated that he was superior to Android 19, so if Piccolo dominated Android 20 in the original timeline, that means that 19 would be even easier to defeat. But the bad news is the fact that Trunks arriving distracts everyone during the fight and gives Gero time to escape. So this now means that 16, 17, and 18 would still eventually get released. And to be consistent, this also means Gero ends up being killed by 17 and 18 just as he originally was. But with Vegeta out of the mix, the fight against Android 18 wouldn't have occurred in the same way since Vegeta was the one who initiated the fight against the androids. And Trunks was fighting against the androids in the first place until Goku returned from the heart virus. This all suggests that 16, 17, and 18 would leave to go find Goku. The good news is that because 17 has a juvenile, childish personality, 16, 17, and 18 would likely find a van once again, which gives Earth's heroes time to plan for their attack. But now that we have set in motion what the androids would do, we must now analyze 3 key events of the android arc. The first event is pretty straightforward. Without Goku or Vegeta around, Piccolo's motivation to fuse with Kami would be significantly higher, and because Kami was already somewhat aware that Cell was roaming the Earth, Kami's decision to fuse with Piccolo would have been made much quicker than before. However, for the second event, Cell would still be found independent of Vegeta's influence. The reason being is that Trunks' damaged time machine was originally found by a random Capsule Corp employee who informed Bulma of the situation. But Cell would still get away as Piccolo's intention was always to interrogate him for information and kill him after he found out everything he had to know. But what about the Room of Spirit and Time? Goku would still want to go in the Room of Spirit and Time with Gohan. And since there's no Vegeta around, that means that Trunks would go in the hyperbolic time chamber with Piccolo, since this would cut down on the time necessary to train. That means that all of Earth's forces would be on the lookout and the androids would have an even longer time tracking them down and figuring out where Goku is. But what about Cell? Well, Cell originally found the androids and Piccolo because he detected Piccolo's power in the fight against Android 17. However, in this case, Cell would have a rough time finding the androids without being able to sense them. But this ultimately doesn't matter because Gohan and Goku would make Cell look like a bug after just a day, so as soon as Goku detects a city losing a bunch of life forms, he could use instant transmission and track down Cell. But the bad news about this is that because Cell would have died so much earlier, Gohan wouldn't have achieved Super Saiyan 2 in this scenario because the situation wasn't set up for his potential to be unleashed. But the good news about this is that Goku would not have been killed by Cell in this process. But what about the search for androids 16, 17, and 18? Without Vegeta as an obstacle, it is extremely unlikely that future Trunks would sit around and allow the androids to be alive. Originally, the androids made a temporary alliance with Earth's heroes because Cell was the bigger threat. But here, Cell is already dead, so Trunks would have no issue killing them to eliminate the android threat in the present timeline. And of course, this future Trunks would return to the future and kill 17 and 18 along with Cell as well, putting an end to the android arc. And as a side note, it's important to mention that Dende would have still become Guardian of Earth because Piccolo would have fused with Kami. But a new question now arises. Would Earth's forces use the new modified Dragon Balls to wish Vegeta back to life? Well, evidence still suggests a strong no. Earth's forces would have had a much worse relationship with Vegeta in this timeline than the original timeline in the android arc, and as a result of Dende being a Namekian, this still suggests that Vegeta would stay dead in the afterlife. But what now happens in the Buu arc? Well, in order for the major events of the Buu arc to occur, the tournament has to take place to trigger the search for Babidi and his hideout. And because Gohan would still go to school, Goku's influence doesn't change Gohan going to high school, befriending Videl, and becoming a superhero. As a result, he would still enter the tournament, but mostly for prize money. And with Chi-Chi's influence, she would also get Goku to join in to stack the odds of winning the prize money if Gohan and Goku would both participate. But there's one major social difference between the original timeline and this what if scenario, and this would be the fact that Mr. Satan wouldn't be the hero of Earth for defeating Cell. However, because he still earned a title as a world champion on his own against Spopovich, he would still be well known throughout the world. However, there's one minor change that would occur in this scenario, and this is the mere fact that the Supreme Kai would freeze Goku as the source of energy for Spopovich and Yamu. This makes sense because Goku would be much stronger than Gohan in this timeline, and as a result of this, Goku's energy would be necessary for hatching Majin Buu. Now, after stealing Goku's energy and heading to Babidi's spaceship, Piccolo and Krillin could still be rendered useless if the Bora had the opportunity to spit on them, and as a result of this, Kibito could still also potentially be killed. But while these sound like negative things that could still happen, between Goku and Gohan, Pui Pui is a joke in terms of power, and Yakan is also a joke if Goku continued to train extensively for 7 years, which we all know he would do. All he truly needs is Super Saiyan 2 to defeat the Bora, which is very achievable for a person like Goku. And with no Vegeta, there's no Majin Vegeta. This also means that there is no fight for Babidi to extract energy for the revival of Majin Buu, and as a result of this, Goku and Gohan could easily kill Babidi with the assistance of the Supreme Kai. But what about Dragon Ball Super? Well, for the Battle of Gods arc, Goku could have never turned Super Saiyan God due to Vegeta not being around as part of the Super Saiyan God ritual. However, this doesn't really matter as Beerus was only enraged to destroy Earth when Majin Buu pissed him off. But if Buu is never hatched, Beerus would simply leave after he has some good food. So the only problem that would have come from this arc would be that Goku would have never caught the interest of Beerus and Whis to take his power to the next level. However, Resurrection of F is where things get dicey. If Frieza returned, everyone is doomed. However, there is one saving grace for humanity. If Beerus and Whis established a friendly relationship with Goku and friends, he and Whis could be contacted to eliminate Frieza. And when you consider the fact that Beerus has stated numerous times that he hates Frieza, Beerus is honestly the only hope for humanity. Now, without Vegeta training with Goku, the conversation between Beerus and Champa about the Super Dragon Balls would not have gone down the same way. At the very most, they would have had a sibling rivalry, and Beerus and Champa would have fought against each other as the manga showed in a flashback. But if this happened, Whis and Vados can simply stop them. Now, in terms of the Future Trunks arc, remember, Future Trunks exists in this what-if scenario because Vegeta left Earth in the main timeline, but not in the future timeline. And as a result of this, Goku Black must exist if there's a reason for Goku to meet Zamasu. And the reason why Goku, Beerus, and Whis visited Zamasu in the first place was because they detected a similar energy signal to Goku Black. However, there is one small detail that prevents this arc from happening, and this is the fact that Whis is the only person who is able to help Goku traverse the universe and go into Universe 10. If Beerus and Whis have less contact with Goku and friends, Whis simply staying home for one day triggers the entire arc from not occurring, and without Goku going over to Universe 10, Goku Black and Zamasu cannot meet Trunks. Now the Tournament of Power is tricky. Without the Universe 6 tournament, Goku would have never met Zeno, and this means that Zeno is likely to wipe out all universes at once for part of his master plan. In addition, future Zeno would have never met present Zeno in this timeline because the future Trunks arc would have never happened. And even if Universe 7 constructed a team for the Tournament of Power, their team would be oddly constructed. There would be no Android 17 because he'd be dead, there would be no Android 18 because she would be dead, there would be no Majin Buu because he would have never hatched, and even if he was around, he probably would have fell asleep anyways. And there would also be no Frieza because Frieza was a last-minute emergency inspired by Beerus' comments. And last but not least, there would be no Vegeta because he would have left Earth and died. So as a result of this, 5 potential or key members for the Universe 7 team wouldn't even be in the Tournament of Power. So Universe 7 would definitely lose, but this doesn't mean that it's the end of everything. Unless Zeno ultimately erases everybody, Universe 7 actually has a pretty solid chance for survival. Whatever Universe 11 decides to wish for decides the fate of Universe 7 and the entire universe. But regardless of what you consider canon or not, things get even more interesting when we analyze Dragon Ball GT's continuity of Dragon Ball Z, and as we go straight to the beginning of GT, because Buu would have never hatched, this means that Oob wouldn't exist. And as a result of this, Goku wouldn't be training on the lookout with Oob if Pilaf ever planned to take the Dragon Balls. This means that Goku would never become a kid, but the Pilaf gang would still be able to wish for youth. And as a result of this, the hunt for the Dragon Balls would still take place but with an adult Goku. The good news is that Baby would be a much lesser threat because Vegeta's body wouldn't be used for Baby Vegeta. However, one major event we have to mention is Super Saiyan 4. Because Goku would have never become a child, he would have never have regrown his tail, so his peak power as an adult would be Super Saiyan 3. After Baby's defeat, the Super 17 arc couldn't occur because the present 17 would already be dead. So essentially all of the villains going to Earth again couldn't happen because there wouldn't be two 17s in two different dimensions. And because the normal Dragon Balls wouldn't have been used as much throughout GT, the Shadow Dragon arc wouldn't occur since there would be less negative energy being used. This creates a positive outcome for Dragon Ball GT. But to conclude this video, we must analyze the social impact of Vegeta leaving Earth and never returning. Bulma would have raised Trunks as a single mother in the present timeline, and without Vegeta, that also means that Bra would have never been born too. Now in terms of present Trunks, without Vegeta's influence as a parent, he would be drastically weaker. In terms of future Trunks, without the attack of Goku Black, he would have never have developed such a strong bond with Mai. More importantly, his relationship with Vegeta would be non-existent. Now as we move on to the Universe 6 Saiyans, Cabba learned Super Saiyan because of his fight with Vegeta, and if Cabba never learned Super Saiyan, he wouldn't have been able to get Caulifla's attention in joining the Tournament of Power in the first place, and because Kale is always with Caulifla, Kale wouldn't have joined alongside Universe 6 as well. And in addition to this, because Cabba went Super Saiyan, that triggered Caulifla into going Super Saiyan, which also triggered Kale's abilities. So without Cabba going Super Saiyan because of Vegeta, all of the Universe 6 Saiyans of Kale, Caulifla, and Cabba would all be weaker, and Kefla would be non-existent. As a side note, we should also point out that since 18 would be dead, Krillin wouldn't be the father of Marin. While it makes sense for Gohan to end up with Videl and still have a child in Pan, Gohan wouldn't be nearly as strong and would have far less character development since Goku would have never died. Now as far as Goku's concerned, his rival is gone, so as a result of this, Goku wouldn't be able to live up to his full potential. But if we are unbiased as Dragon Ball fans, even though Vegeta is a major ally and was extremely helpful at times, his ego and destructive behavior actually jeopardized the progress of Earth's heroes in many situations. So it sucks to say this, but without Vegeta, Dragon Ball history would be better. And on the subject of Vegeta, check out Vegeta's Lost Stories that covers key mysteries about his life. In addition, check out What If Vegeta Never Became Majin Vegeta or Operation Vegeta to learn more facts about his character. And until next time, stay cool and stay safe, my friends.